It's time to talk about Liverpool. 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-2-2, 4-3. Lots of numbers, lots of tactics, lots of formations. It used to always be, let's all say it together, 4-3-3. But it's not anymore, or is it? Is this a Liverpool 2.0? Are they sort of back from the ashes after having that real struggle in terms of figuring out what they want to do? From a tactical point of view, how are you feeling about these last few games, which are, I think, are good games to look at, because West Ham is a tough team to play against, of course. And Man City was just a ding-dong affair, wasn't it? So
I think it actually changed after Rangers. I think people forgot.
First game against Rangers was the second game.
The second one. The first game was a mess. Rangers just weren't good enough to kill Liverpool. Liverpool were all over the place. They actually did just leave Thiago and Henderson, and there was bodies flying everywhere. Against Rangers, Liverpool were really similar to the first leg, and they had no confidence. So they were kind of like, can someone do something? Can someone? And then with Darwin Nunez, you got chaos ball up front, who's just going to do whatever he wants.
Because I was at that game. I was at Ibrox for that one, and they were pretty poor in the first half as well. And I think there are still, because I mean, spoiler alert, I don't think they're back just yet. I don't know if you feel differently. Do you think they're back?
I don't think they're back as such to that level, but they'll be back in.
I don't think they can ever get back to that level. Do you?
No. I think that's
that level's gone.
That level's
right?
gone. Yeah.
But you said back in the title race though.
Well, I'm looking at it now. Liverpool win their game in hand. I think actually already they're 7 points behind City, and the only team to be concerned with is City in this title race. You don't need to worry about Arsenal because they will fall away at some point, and even if they don't, it'll be level on points. At the moment, Liverpool are further behind Arsenal than City, but if you stay close to City, you'll be in the title race come the end of the season. I think the big thing I was going to say about the Rangers game is, you were there. The last 20 minutes, when Salah came on, suddenly the crisp was back. Yeah. And it was like...
Thiago too. Thiago's important as well.
It was like, we can actually play football. And then they took that into the City game, where it was like, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to play on the front foot. And I think Klopp realised they can't press anymore. They don't have the legs. And all that's happening is, people are going, Van Dijk's lost it, Fabinho's lost it. If you're not pressing the man on the ball, they're just going to play through you. And I think Klopp and co have just gone, you know what, scrap the high press. We're going to sort of play in a mid-block sort of thing. And Jota peg it back, who's so unlucky to be out of the World Cup. Yeah. Harvey Elliott the other side. And then they did the exact same against West Ham. And a part of me felt like Klopp was going, I want to see if we can hold this out for 1-0. Because some of the changes were bizarre. And it worked. So you've got to give praise to Klopp. If it was Pep Guardiola who made those changes, we'd be talking about it for months
100%.
I think the big thing when it comes to, because you're right, the press is different. It's disconnected. That was the big thing. If there was this sort of shield of understanding the passing lanes against Man City, which I thought was really smart, very sophisticated, very unclock-like. Really, it's normally it's everyone that they go for it. Or in particular, you'll have Fabinho who just sits, and then you'll have the other two of that 4-3-3 going and pushing and getting at the opposition. They still kept Man City in their own half, which I thought was very impressive, and allows Haaland to stay away from the panic box, which is obviously a danger. But for me, there are still concerns. I'm saying a lot of numbers there at the start of the video in terms of different formations. But the key element that I think has changed in particular is having a sort of box of two centre-backs and two midfielders. The problem with that is that still offers up the opposition a lot of key chances. Even West Ham in the game this week had 5 big chances, in that game. Key passes and big chances get mixed up. So they're still able to get through Liverpool in transition. That's the reason why I feel like Liverpool are nowhere near what they were still.
No, they're not. It was heavy metal football initially, and now it's a little bit shoegazy, a little bit softer. And it's like you said, Nubaid, it's the first level of the press that's not working. And I don't think they can ever get back to that. And I think that's what set Liverpool apart from everybody else in the world, is that first press when you had Salah and Mane going at it. They haven't got the legs for that anymore. What did interest me was against West Ham was the fact that we saw Salah be so effective down the middle, granted on the counter-attack against Man City. Against West Ham, he was back to hugging the touchline. And I don't understand it. Obviously, I understand you've got to accommodate Darwin Nunez, who is chaos ball personified. But I feel like with Liverpool right now, where the parts aren't all working in sync, you've got to get the best out of your best players. And in order to get the best out of Mo Salah, you've got to allow him to do what Mo Salah does. And I think that's maybe operate a little bit more centrally than he was against West Ham at points. But Liverpool just need to get through this tough period. And the win against West Ham was huge and important because Jared Bowen missed a penalty. this season, Liverpool would have maybe dropped points in that game, but the fact that they've got through that, got the win, and like Nubaid said, the game against Rangers was so vital. They go 1-0 down in that game, and I'm looking at it thinking, you look bereft of ideas. This could go really, really badly. The fact that Bobby Firmino got a goal not too long after Rangers scored was really huge for Liverpool. And the second half where Salah got a hat-trick, which gave them the perfect platform for the games against Man City, I think Liverpool are actually back. I do think they are back, and I think, like Nubaid said, they're not too far behind Man City, who they will be looking at as their title rivals.
Let's talk about the future of two of the three maybe most crucial players for Liverpool. You spoke about Salah there. Him hugging the touchline what's the most important thing for Salah? Is it about him being central so he can get the goals for you, or is it more important that he has space? Because I think the Man City game, it's about attacking that space in behind, because there is that space in behind. But against teams that are going to defend deep, you won't get that same amount of space. So would you rather see him play centrally alongside Nunez for the rest of the season, or do you want and drift out wide, or do you want him to stay out wide? What would you like to see?
Right? It's a real catch-22, because I think Liverpool and Klopp are still figuring it out. Against West Ham in the second half, Salah went and played up front, and you could see there were spaces because he's really intelligent. He makes really smart runs because he plays out to in as a winger. When he plays up front, he plays in to out. It's really interesting, but because he understands the run so well, he does it flawlessly. But then in the first half, Carvalho and Firmino dropped in as like 2 10s. So it was like 2 narrow 10s. Salah went wide and Nunez through the middle. What that allowed is the fullbacks to get round the other side. So Klopp still can't change the principle of his fullbacks are the biggest part of his team. He can't just go, you two have to sit now, especially when you've got Trent. Trent played a bit deeper, actually, and he was sort of flicking the ball down the channels, which he did against Rangers. No, not Rangers, sorry. The first leg, Rangers. Yeah. I think the thing that Liverpool can't account for at the moment is, previous to Nunez arriving, the team was built on relationships between players. So you have Robertson and Mane, you have Salah and Trent, you had Henderson down that side occasionally. Nunez just has no relationship. And I think they're trying to figure out, how do we allow you to go score goals for us? Because you're probably going to be the one that scores the goals after Salah. Yeah. And at the same time, how do we still get the best out of Salah? Because he probably now needs to play in the middle, because out wide he's isolated. And now Jota's injured. Salah will definitely have to play out wide. So I think they're still tinkering, still trying to figure it out. Forest and Leeds to come, 2 more nice tests to see if it's a 4-2-4 or a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2. I think they're still just, and they haven't a Trent. That's the other thing. Yeah.
Well, so with Trent, we've got Harvey Elliott, who was fantastic, especially without the ball against Man City. 6 recoveries in that game, and provided that help for Milner on. It was also fantastic. But Trent's obviously going to come in. He's going to play in a deeper role in this game. Stayed alongside that midfield line laterally. 4 key passes for him. This is the thing. It feels like there's more questions than answers with Liverpool at this moment in time, because if you're trying to get the best out of Salah, we haven't really answered that. Nunez, you're trying to fit him in. So how do you do that? That means you're trying to move other people about. And for Trent, to get the best out of him, it's from an attacking sense. Do you think it's best for him to stay that little bit deeper? Or, what are we doing with Trent?
How to solve a problem like Trent Alexander-Arnold? I think that's £1 million question. That's the question that Southgate's going to have to answer at the World Cup, because I think the card's going to lay to the point where Trent's going to get extended minutes for England during the World Cup. I just see it happening.
It's destiny.
It's destiny. It's destiny for him to play well as well. We need to hold our horses and remember that Trent Alexander-Arnold is a world-class footballer. Yeah. He's an incredible footballer who's won the lot in club football. And so all players go through this. All players go through a run of poor form. And I think Trent is systematic, or is symptomatic of how poor Liverpool have been this season in terms of his poor form. So I expect him to come good. What James Milner was afforded against Man City, though, was Harvey Elliott playing deep and Harvey Elliott providing that protection. Trent's not been afforded that this season. They've been a bit disjointed. If Trent's afforded that protection, then I think we're going to see the best out of Trent Alexander-Arnold going forward.
Let's offer up one answer, okay? And guys in the comments get involved as well. If you've got one player to build this team around and make sure they're happy, who is that one player? For me, it's Salah.
Do you know what? I think it's Darwin Nunez. I genuinely, like, because you see him this season, I think he scored 3 league goals in 4 starts. His XG is the best in the league. His XG is incredible.
Because he shoots every time he has
And it is chaos ball. But this is the first time, obviously, Van Dijk and Alisson were guaranteed starters. You made those moves because you knew that took you to the next level. Nunez was kind of different. Nunez was kind of like, see what happens. He might not hit the ground running. And I think it's important for Liverpool that he does score goals. So you can't have to tailor your... Similar to Man City. Man City have tailored the way they play around Haaland. The person that gets you the goals is the most important person. So I think Darwin Nunez, if he bangs or starts banging for Liverpool, then they're in the money because, like I say, I don't know how you stop him. It's chaos ball personified.
I think this is the thing, right? Like, you could build the team around Salah, but I think Salah can still survive on the right. Trent can still survive at right back. If you don't start building around Nunez, as you saw against West Ham, you are at risk as much as you are at reward because he doesn't even know what he's doing half time. So I think you try and find a way to fit him in and figure out whether it is like, are you going to try and turn him into a monster presser? I don't think you will, because he's one of those players that I think you reserve his energy, because going that way, he's rapid. I think he clocked like the fastest time. It was like 38 kilometers per hour. It was the fastest sprint in the league or something this season, which is ridiculous. Do I build my team around him? I build my team around Trent. He's the most creative player.
I want to say you'd love to build a team around Thiago, but his injury history is such that you can't. Like, I think when Thiago's on form, I don't
actually think you need to build a team around him. I think he builds the game.
Okay.
He can. Yeah. He just completely, like against it was Arsenal, wasn't it? For 30 minutes, he just ran the game on his own. I know people said Henderson was next to him. No disrespect, Jordan, but that was Thiago versus Arsenal. He hasn't got the legs to do it for 90 minutes. But I don't think you need to build it. Just keep him safe. Keep him in an ice chamber. Trent is your guy. Find a way to unlock Trent. Find the keys to the title again.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.